In this video, we will show you how to dimension data inputs to an advanced model. This video is complementary as previous video speaking on how to dimension data inputs to a simple model. In this neural network example, we will define an input layer as a 2D tensor and the output layer of the model will also be a 2D tensor. For this example, each output will be the cosine of each input. To do this, we will use an example of training dense neural network models available to users. Deep learning is always done in 3 key steps: designing a model, preparing the data, and running the neural network model. Data dimension is involved in these 3 steps. To begin our explanation, we now focus on the dimension of the input data that is involved in the model design. In fact, it is very simple. The input data layer definitions VIs use an 1D array as parameter. This array's cases represent the size of each dimension. Now let's go back to our example to apply what we have just said. We want to create a model that takes as input a 2D tensor shaped by 3 values on 2 dimensions. In our case, we will simply set the input layer with an array of 2 values representing the 2 dimensions, and this values will be 3 and 2, which will represent the size of the first and the second dimension. For the definition of the input data, it is finished. Now let's look at the forward function. From what we have just said, logically, this function will expect a 2D tensor of 6 values. But of course, we will not train our model one tensor at a time. Instead, we will send a batch of tensors and receive a batch of corresponding predictions in return. Let's summarize. Recall that our model has only one 2-dimensional tensor consisting of 6 values for input data layer. Since we are sending the data in batch, we always add a dimension representing the data group. In our case, the forward function will expect for this model a 3D array. One dimension for the batch and others dimensions representing the tensor. For all the layers, you will find on HAIBAL knowledge base the information of dimension. Have a look. Congratulations, you have now all the key to well dimension your input data in your model.